The England Gambit is one of the trickiest openings in chess, with a very controversial reputation. Some say it's a brilliant way to crush 1d4 quickly. Others say it's a terrible opening, fully refuted, and that it will actually eventually get you in trouble. So, I decided to put it to the test, with 4 games against opponents of increasing levels. Will my opponents fall for tricks, or will refute this opening? By the end of this video, we will have a clear answer. Should you play the England Gambit? Let's find out. And there we go, England Gambit. They took my pawn, and now I need to try to take this pawn back. Is this opening following the opening principles? Well, not really. The idea is that we are trading 2 central pawns, but look at this queen. It's in the middle of the bishop way. And let's see if I can execute the trick or if they know the refutation of this opening. Oh, queen d2 is a blunder, because now I can take this pawn. I'm attacking the rook. And what can they do to protect the rook? There is just one move, but that move comes to a very high price. Okay, what are they doing here? They are sacrificing a pawn. Very smart idea. Because if I take, then the bishop is coming here protecting the rook. But if the bishop goes there, I can simply take it. So I will just take this pawn. And later on, I will take this rook. The rook has no way to escape. If they play bishop here, I take. If they go with the knight, I don't have to take. I can just take the rook. Okay, they take here, so now we take the... Oh! Okay, I was shortly scared that this is a check. No, that's a blunder. Oh my gosh, I can imagine my opponent in pain right now. He thought it was checkmate, but somehow the game is going on. Yes, there is a knight getting the queen. And now I will be giving a checkmate. We give a check here. Yeah, the pawn has to be pushed. And now we take here. The king has to move. Only square. And this is checkmate. It's now time to show you all the 3 traps that there are in this opening. The first one we have just seen, queen d2, is a huge blunder. After queen takes, the rook cannot be protected anymore, because the only move that is protecting the rook is losing the queen. The bishop is coming here, skewering the queen and the king. The second way that white can go wrong is to have the same idea but with the bishop. Bishop here is the right move, because you can't play anything else since this is a check, also attacking the bishop. The bishop has to go back, and now the queen is taking this pawn. Now, if you protect the rook in the same way as we saw before, bishop here, this is a huge blunder. Why? Because we played bishop before. The queen cannot be taken because the bishop is pinned. And if they take here, this is trap number 2. Now the knight is attacking the square, the rook is hanging. There is no way to defend, because if the queen comes here, again, there is a beautiful fork. Actually, here there is just checkmate. First the queen gives a check, the queen has to come back, and now checkmate by a knight. And a very similar thing happens in the 3rd trap, because after bishop here, white can still play queen d2, protecting the bishop. But after bishop takes, if the knight is taking, the rook is hanging. And if the queen is taking, this is mate in 9 moves. Second game, higher rated opponent, and we go with the England Gambit. Will they fall for any of the traps, or will they go for the refutation? We'll go with the knight out, attacking the pawn one more time. Well, just one time, actually. Okay, we have a new move, f4, protecting this pawn with a pawn. I have literally never seen this move, but I think it's weakening this diagonal. That's why I will just develop my bishop in a super natural square. And probably I want to move on by trying to trade this pawn. There is another crazy idea that comes to mind, and is to play the move g5 to attack this pawn. but it's maybe a little bit too much. So I am going to play d6, literally sacrifice the pawn fully. And now I take back with the pawn. Now, white has an extra pawn, and we will analyze. I'm curious to know what is the evaluation here. If f4 is maybe a simple way to avoid all the tricks and get a decent position with white, but I think there are still some tricks here. Because this pawn can be attacked a second time by the queen, by a rook coming over here. So white needs to be very careful, and this waiting move is no good. It's too slow. Now the rook is joining, I already have a big threat. How to defend? Not easy at all, or maybe impossible. The pawn cannot be pushed, cannot be protected by this knight, not by this knight, maybe by the queen. But protecting with the queen is way too easy to be exploited. Just knight here, attacking it one more time. This position is already looking very bad, and we are at move 8. They are moving the king away, but this is pretty frankly terrible, because the knight is going here, giving a check, attacking the pawn. The knight is defended by the bishop, so cannot be taken. This is an important detail, and maybe what they missed. So the king has to move again, and then we are taking this pawn, and material will be equal. But the position is so bad. I could take with the knight, I could take with the bishop, and I will take with the bishop simply because if they take, I am taking back, and this is a beautiful fork. And also, I'm setting up another fork. The knight can come here. And now we go for it. Boom. Attacking the rook, attacking the queen, and they have to move the queen. Yes. And now I'm thinking, if I take this rook, they're going to take this bishop, and my knight there is stuck, plus attacked by the bishop. That's why I will actually do a small change of plans. I will take this bishop, and if they take the bishop, then I'm taking the rook. Okay, if they would have taken this knight, then I would have taken this pawn, attacking this other rook, and still my position is super good. So now we can take this rook with the knight. They take back the knight. We are up an exchange. What does up an exchange mean? It means that we gave away a minor piece, either a knight or a bishop, and we won a rook. Okay, they are taking. We are very happy to take back. Now, trades are always good for us. So to win this game, either we give checkmate or we trade and reach an endgame. I will try to pursue both plans at the same time. Let's activate this rook. Then we need to bring the queen to the game. Okay, they are pushing this pawn, so let's bring the queen to the game, attacking the knight. As you can see, I love to put pressure on my opponent. I'm not just developing randomly. I'm always trying to be annoying, setting up a threat. And now I will give this check, because the king has to leave this knight kind of unprotected. It's not a problem right now, because I can't really take, since the other knight is defending. The two knights are defending each other. But maybe one day I will bring one rook up, wanting to double up with the second rook on the e file, because my rook on the b file has no sense anymore. Since this pawn has been pushed, this pawn is protected by a pawn, so the rook is really staring at a wall right now. It's way better to activate it on the open file, on the e file. The queen is looking at this pawn, but is protected, so we bring the other rook, and now the threat is huge, because we're threatening to take, and if the knight is taking, the rook is hanging, so they have to play rook e1. Very good. Good job by my opponent. What if we attack this knight even one more time? So this knight right now is attacked 1, 2, 3 times, and is protected 1, 2, 3, 4. So it seems like there is nothing to worry for them. But in reality, there is lots to worry, because it means that they cannot move these pieces away. And I have a way, well, do I have a way to try to annoy one defender? Well, this could be a possible idea, trying to attack the knight. But in reality, I'm always happy with trading off material. Let's see what they play. it seems like they're just waiting, so I will improve my pawn. The pawn is improved here because it's now protected by another pawn, meaning that my queen gains lots of flexibility. Can now go around, setting up new threats. For example, let's go here with the queen, attacking this pawn. The king has now to move on g1. Or over there. But now I already see a way to exploit all the weakness of the light squares. We give a check and then we slide with the queen. Sorry, with the bishop here. We want to give mate, so this knight has to be moved. But if the knight moves, the rook behind is hanging. So I think this game is ending very quickly. Yes, the knight is moving away. But now we can just take here. And they either move the king out, and then we have mate, or they capture this rook with the queen, but we have anyway not one, but two checkmates. Either we take back, well, actually, if we take back is then mate in two, but this one is just GG's, checkmate. Very important analysis, f4 is not really a good move against the Anglon Gambit, but what I played was also not optimal. In case you decide to play this opening, here the best attempt is to play the move d6. You want to trade this pawn because you want to develop very quickly. Basically, your point is you say like, hey, okay, I apologize. You have a full extra pawn, but this will be a weakness. Pushing this pawn will be a weakness. So now what black wants to do is to go out very quickly with all the pieces, knight out, bishop out, queen here, long castle, and the other rook here. And the activity of black is just way too strong. I would love to play this position with black anytime, any day, against any opponent, even Magnus Carlsen. Or maybe not. New game, higher rating. Will they fall for any trap, or will they punish me? They're taking the pawn. We attack it with the knight. They protect it with the knight. We attack it with the queen. They should protect it with the bishop, and they don't. We could call it Anglon Gambit declined, but to be honest, I'm pretty happy with this position. There are no traps, but I don't have a lost position. I don't risk to lose after the opening. So now I'm gonna take the pawn, material is equal, and what we need to do, develop all the pieces. So I will try to bring the knight out, probably this pawn in the center of the board. d5 seems a good square because the knight is protecting, so the pawn is very strong there. Now the bishop is attacking here, this knight attacking twice, so we need to either move this knight away or protect it a second time. And we could take, or we could move the knight back here, but the knight back here doesn't really have a future. So we are going to trade it, and then to bring this bishop out here. And the only problem is that we need to move the queen again in order to make sure to bring this bishop out, because we need to develop all the pieces. That's why the queen here is not really very well placed. And that's why my opponent did a very good job. Once I took this knight, because they didn't help me to capture back with the queen, freeing the way for the bishop. Okay, queen here. It seems like I can go for long castle. What is the idea of queen here? Maybe they also want to go for long castle. Maybe they want to play knight here and long castle. I'm not a big fan of that, but maybe it's just completely fine. Yeah, this knight here is again a little bit tricky, because where is it going next? So the knight can go here, but I can say just, and now go back, please. Probably the knight is going towards that square, but we need to let it go. I'm thinking about knight d4. What is the idea? That after pawn takes, pawn take, and the d file is open, I could also move my bishop here just to trade the bishop for the bishop, and I don't want to let them take my own bishop. By the way, knight here would be a bit of a mistake, because after this, if we check with the queen, we could have some problems of this diagonal. Black has still a defense, but why do we let them trade? Let's go here. offering a trade of light square bishop. And the position is roughly equal, but I think black is already a bit better due to this strong pawn in the center of the board that is giving us a little bit more space. Okay, they are no longer going for castle, actually. I'm going to take here. I'm expecting queen takes, and now I will bring my knight strong on e4. That's exactly why this pawn gives us a small advantage, because now my knight is already in the half board of my opponent. So I'm a little bit more aggressive looking at this pawn, at this bishop. I like my position. If they go for short castle, we have a situation with opposite side castling, meaning that we can start a very strong attack. Probably g4, g5, g4, maybe even pushing this pawn. Okay, let me see if there is anything better, because the moment we play g5, actually this bishop will be looking... Yeah, I don't really want to allow that. So I will actually play h5, and I have a different idea. Ooh, I want to bring the rook this way. Now, the knight is stopping me, but it might be a good moment to get rid of this bishop. You might say, Alessia, you opened up the file where your king is. Now they can bring the rook, double up the rook, attack you like crazy. Yeah, but they need to have time to do so. I will hopefully be faster. So g5, there we go. I want to play g4. And the problem here is that this queen is the only piece protecting the knight. And here I've sacrificed the pawn. Yes, they can take and win a pawn. That's completely possible. But that's a nice open file for me. They didn't take, because if not I could have brought my bishop out and then the rook on the g file. And the attack, I'm just too fast. This is a type of situation where you have to be quick. You have to get to the opponent king before the opponent gets to yours. And I love my next move. Rook h5. What's the plan? I'm attacking this knight twice. If the knight moves back, now my bishop can slide here with tempo before the knight would have captured the bishop. So now the queen has to move again. And then I have different options. I could slide the rook here, maybe push this pawn and slide the queen. Of course, I have a tactical thing to solve first. And this knight is attacking the rook. Maybe I will just take the knight with my bishop to then bring immediately the rook, threatening some nasty things, nasty checkmates ideas. So I will do that. We take it. And after pawn takes, we bring a rook over there. They could have a checkmate idea as well by bringing the queen here, because this is mate. But it's not really working, because I am quicker to attack more. For example, what I can do is play the move c6. So that after check, my king comes here and is no mate. But maybe I have even better. Let's calculate. Rook check, the king goes there. I give a check, the king has 2 moves. If the king goes here, then I'm able to take this rook for free. With the queen, with the rook. So after this, the king has to go there. Then I can take this pawn for free. With a check. But they are going to cover up. And then I have my rook, my queen under attack. And I don't have a check. So I might have to take this pawn, then they give a check, I go here. This pawn is hanging. I don't like this. Do I have anything better? I can do check, this, trade the rook, but after rook takes, I don't have a mate and still this rook will be unprotected. That's why I will go with plan number 1. Just defend the checkmate and my threats are all still there. I'm still threatening to take this pawn and then go with the queen here. But I might even just prepare it and try to somehow block the king from going out. For example, queen here and take this pawn. That's a lovely idea, but I need to make sure not to lose this other pawn. So one more idea could be to play... Oh, they're just running with the king. Interesting. I will now play queen here because this pawn is no longer under attack of the rook since the king is there. And so I might just capture it if they try to hide on e1. And if they don't hide, I might force them to leave. For example, now the queen is looking at this rook. So I move the rook here. Oops. Okay, I have a move. I have a solution. They can't take my rook. Because if they do, this is checkmate. Subscribe and you will always find great saves like this one. It was all calculated. This is what you have to say afterwards. All part of the plan. But please subscribe because it makes me happy. So now they have to probably try the queens. And then we reach an endgame where we're a pawn down. So this is still very shaky. But I will try to come back by exploiting the fact that all the pawns are very weak. They have 6 pawns, but 6 weak pawns. Let's see. All right, they are trading. I could take back with the pawn. I could take back with the rook. And I will go with the rook. Why? Because I want to have open files to attack many different points. And there we go. I'm now sacrificing this pawn, but I will be sure to take even more. Yes, I will bring my pawn up here. So it's protected by my rook, and I'm still counterattacking this one. Now, very important, I can't win this endgame without the help of my king. And this is a general principle in every single endgame. The king is a very strong piece. What I will try to exploit is the fact that they have to stay passive. They have to, you see the two rooks? They're passively defending that pawn. And this gives me... What? Oh, they just resigned. Yeah, the rook is just free. I can just take it. Wow. That was a huge blunder. But hey, we take it. GG's. Last game with the England Gambit. Almost a 1500 elo opponent. They are taking, I'm attacking. They protect with the knight. Queen e7, attacking the second time. Will they know the refutation? No, they are not going for it. So I'm going to take back with the queen, and now I can develop my pieces very simply. Actually, this is an upgrade compared to the previous game, because I can go with the knight out, with the bishop. Ooh. Just kidding. So we have to move the queen again, and we'll go here because the queen is protecting this pawn and also ready to counterattack with the move bishop before attacking this beautiful knight. We can play d5, getting full control over the center. I shortly was checking for tactics because maybe this pawn could be captured, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I know they're threatening to take. I thought like, oh, they're not threatening to take because this rook is hanging, but no, the rook is protected. So I'm in front of an important decision, and I think I have to take, because if I don't, then I have some problems. So I have to move the queen again. The bishop is taking. Hey, I think I got in a bad position, to be honest. My opponent did a very good job. Now they just have an extra pawn. I will bring my bishop out and try to come back. But they did really a good job here. So my bishop here is stopping the king from castling. I want to try to make their life a little bit harder. And my next move is long castle. So I will be attacking this bishop a second time, plus pinning it because the queen behind is hanging. So now already the position is collapsing for white. Suddenly this didn't work out, but I can't say that the opening was a success. We will see in the analysis what I could have done better, what they could have done better. But for now, let's try to convert it to a win. I think it's time to play c6. This bishop is pinned, cannot be moved. So we attack it with the pawn and we are going to win it. Of course, the queen was under attack, so we first make sure to defend the issues. Now, they are playing very nicely because what they are doing is that after pawn takes, the rook is coming to give a check, but I'm trying to hide the king and to keep it as safe as possible. Now, is there any threat? Not really, so I will bring my rook to counterattack on e2. Very good. I'm going to play this move, attacking the rook, attacking this pawn, so I can get this pawn out of the way. And then probably I will try to exploit the weak position of the king. For example, bishop here, double up the rooks, maybe even triple ups the rooks with the queen to give a nice checkmate. Okay, king there is a very smart idea. I will bring my queen here to be able to give some checks and get the king out of the way, because I want to really put a bishop there. Okay, we give a nice check. And the problem is that the king needs to avoid light squares. Yeah, now I give another check. And if they come here is checkmate, so they have to choose one square or the other. Now I give another check. Okay, the king goes there. So is this a threat? Actually, yes. Actually, yes. So I will bring my bishop backwards. I am stopping the queen, and there is something very important. This pawn is not doing anything because the queen is going to capture it. This could have been a fun sacrifice because if bishop takes, maybe queen here is problematic. Actually, it's checkmate. So they are really trying to do that. But now I'm in time to take this rook, trading off material. I will also take this little juicy, tasty Swiss potato. And then give a check. Okay. I think I will give a check first. If the king goes here, I give this check. If the king goes here, I give this check. So I'm going to trade all the pieces before, well, I'm going to win massive amount of material. And I think they might just resign because actually I will play this check and I will take the queen. And yummy. Now, important that the rook can come back. Oh wait, actually, this was not very smart. I should have taken the rook. Because now, it doesn't matter after this, I can take and they take. Still extra piece, but I can achieve way better by taking this rook. I have an extra rook and an extra piece. So that would have been better. Quick analysis. Actually, the opening move of my opponent is very simple and very smart. It avoids all opening traps. And after the trade, no, we have equal material, but white is better. Why? Because of my weird queen. White can develop in a very simple way by winning tempo over my queen. The next move is gonna be, I don't know, e4. And then the bishops are going out in very natural squares. The queen might go out on f3 or on d2, and the king can castle both short or long. White has a great center, great development, and didn't risk any of the traps. Last but not least, it's time to show you the refutation of the Englund Gambit. White is taking this pawn, and after knight here, knight there, queen e7, bishop f4. This we have seen, we had in one of the games. Queen here. Check, attacking this pawn. Now the best move is bishop d2. Because we are counterattacking the queen And after queen takes, now not bishop here, but a strong and simple knight c3. Material is equal, but what white is going to exploit is the bad placement of the queen. If we are trying to play with the black pieces even more tricky, for example, knight here, we are attacking this pawn, well, they have a very simple move, knight e4, they protect everything. And as you can see, this is already +2 for white, because they have just massive problems. In general, white can simply play e3, bishop out, castle, and white is completely fine. And black is risking to lose their queen, because the queen could end up being trapped. Now, if black is trying to play now in the best way possible, with bishop b4 attacking this knight, twice protected one more time, this is still very risky, as you can see. After rook b1, attacking the queen has to move in this only square. Now white has a powerful move. Knight d5. Why is this move super strong? Because there are simply so many threats. This bishop is now attacked 3 times. By the knight, by the bishop, by the rook. And is protected just 2 times. So probably what black needs to do is to trade off here and then defend this square. But how to? Either you sacrifice this pawn and you sacrifice the rook, you will be an exchange down, or you have to play king d8. This is still very risky because the queen can sneak here, but white could also simply play e4, develop this bishop, castle, and just say to your king, haha, and this position is just very bad for black. Now, will your opponent know all this? Probably under 1500, it will be very hard that your opponents are going to play the refutation, but I don't recommend this opening because it teaches bad habits. Playing for tricks can work until a certain level, but at some point I can tell you with 100% certainty it will stop working and you will end up in bad positions. Plus, you have these bad habits to play hope chess. Try this trick, try that other trick, but the best way to play chess is to play strong, active moves that are working in both cases when your opponent is playing the best defense and the worst defense. Now, you can play this opening if you want to have fun, but I wanted to tell you all the risks, all the pros, all the cons, and choose wisely. And now, if you want to see another way to play against 1d4, solid, without risks, but yet very strong and aggressive, check out this video. I play against opponents of different levels, and as always, explain every single move. Check it out. Thank you for watching.